Crypto market is trying to shake off that bearish sentiment and move on to a bullish one right now. And in this video, we are going to go through a little bit of negative news for the fundamental side of it and a ton of positive news on the fundamental side of this one. Now, I'll actually take you guys through one by one each of these, explaining what it actually means, because there are some interconnections between some of the biggest institutions leading towards XRP, Intelligent Protocol, XRP Ledger. It actually goes deep. So once you are into this and you are looking at all of this, you're like, okay, fine, I do get some of the point. And if you are an investor, right now is the time, right, to invest. And it's clearly shown here. Ripple and FTX are on that verge because they do understand that the central banks are going to push this one a bit more and the markets are going to go down. And as the market drops, they are here, they are ready to expand. Now, with all these new acquisitions, they are going to actually move further. When the market bounces back up after the dust settles, they are going to come on top of this. So we do have crypto market where you have a lot of coins now starting to get attention, starting to move higher in first 100, next 100. You have a lot of coins getting volume coming in, showing different patterns and then breaking higher, right? We saw that in then we came to the support and we were talking about that support. We were going through that, right? And what happened? You bounced from that support, you broke higher. Then we have something similar in NK and we were expecting it to break this one and then reach here. What happened? The price just reached there. Now, if you go look at the price of NKN, say right now, it actually went super high. It actually went through and broke higher. Now, there are a lot of assets, right? All of them showing you different patterns and then going up, breaking that one out. And it's really happy to see XLM and then XRP also joining this one, right? They're also breaking higher. They're also showing you some targets. They can move higher. But for XRP, we have to look for the resistance, right? As you're breaking higher from the short-term pattern, the short to medium term, long term, all these resistance actually comes into play. So you need to actually look at all of those two. But short term, as the market bounces or kind of, give you that relief rally, you are actually observing these coins and which are actually breaking higher. And that's actually a good thing. Because as the market recovers, the positive sentiment actually comes in. So if you are here to look at these patterns to understand, okay, whether this is actually going to break higher, if it breaks higher, how much am I looking at? And all those stuff, you can learn these from one of these videos. Say we talked about this clearly, when you should neglect one pattern, when you should consider it, right? There's macro pattern, there is a short-term pattern. So that's like pattern inside a pattern, which can get confusing, but in this video it's kind of slow, steady, so you now know which to consider, and when these are happening, you are ready for that. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where we discuss crypto and science behind investing regularly, so that now you can learn and grow your portfolio. So guys, this is actually a lot of positive bullish stuff. So what should we actually start with? All the positive news or starting with the little bit of negativeness? Now, SBI is actually a big firm in Japan. They've been, supporter of XRP Ledger from a long time and they're still doing that. Now, one of the negative stuff, now it can also be positive, but the way I'm looking at it is like this. Okay, that's strong competition coming against XRP Ledger. There's a new platform where they actually show you, that it's also an interoperable platform, which actually gives you that ability to do the smart contracts. So the competition is actually getting a little bit tougher as they go forward. Now, it's not only because they're here in Japan, they're also going ahead to SGX, Singapore stock exchange, and then Australian, right? So they are also slowly extending their reach in different markets. But meanwhile, SBI has numerous blockchain and digital assets activities, including joint ventures with Ripple, R3, all of them. all of these ranges from security tokens to supply chain, all of this area. So it's still there, it's working, no change to that one, but you are getting strong competition coming in, right? When you actually go into this report from the European Central Bank, when they talk about interoperability solutions, yes, you see Alcadar, and you also see this one, the digital assets modeling language, and that's what we are talking here. Now, this one is comparatively a bit older document, right? So you go back onto the top and look at what they're talking about. It's like a year old. And right now, when you're coming into the news, you're getting this one. Okay, the same DAML or digital assets modeling language is here with the new perspective, right? So if you keep that one aside and then go search, say this is from the federal government, right? Federal Reserve. So from the Federal Reserve, if you are looking at this, for me, I'm like, okay, now this is a bit old. Now this is really old. So when you go look at this is like 2016, right? So when you're actually going all the way back down and looking at these things, I'm like, okay, I do get that point. They are actually looking at a lot of different stuff which can be used. But inside this, when they give that attention, talking about how they can use this technology, they are clearly going for the interledger protocol. Now that actually says a lot of stuff, because this is from Federal Reserve and they are actually working on their digital dollar, which they are a little bit slow. When you actually see all these stuff, which literally is happening there right now, because when you have that, one of the important stuff which you need is the settlements. And as you go through this, now you are like, okay, you need to settle through different ledgers, not in one ledger, and that's where your interoperability game comes into play. And for that, as we read through this, they're talking about some startups, blah, 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 and all. And as you come to the downside, they're talking about, okay, could reduce the number of intermediaries needed for the effect of cross-border payments. And as you come down, they're talking about this. Now, why am I highlighting this old document here right now? Because they are going to execute this using cryptographically escrowing funds across series of interoperable ledgers. Okay, that sounds cool. So in effect, the protocol defines a set of procedures for proposing a payments path and cryptographically escrowing funds across series of interoperable ledgers. So ILP is something which most of the banking sector is going to use, because how it actually works, or it's designed in particular to work with all these ledgers and to move money seamlessly. Now, that's from Federal Reserve, and this one was from European Central Bank. Now, fine. You're going through a lot of different documents. So this one is actually a research article showing you different interledger opportunities. And as you talk through, the main highlight here is the atomic cross-chain transactions. Then it comes to the W3 interledger protocol, signing chains, network, and all of this kind of end up, because in the indexing term or the keywords, you have interledger protocol. So it's not like, it's not getting attention. It's really getting attention, and researchers are focusing on this one. Then you actually come here, the Monetary Authority of Saudi, Singapore, and they are actually talking about how to use digital assets for different use cases. Now, it's not only one use case, just the transaction remittance. There's a lot of use case being highlighted here in this one. And I'm going to show you through the connected networks of big financial institutions and how this is going to flow through. Great. So it's different use cases for this technology. Now, when they are talking about the decentralized finance, smart contracts, which can be used here, and they go down, right? They talk about using, like, these are like different areas in key regions. So for them, it's like 4 main areas: using public blockchains to build open networks for digital asset trading. Then setting up trusted environment for executing DeFi protocols by using regulated financial institutions to verify credentials. So, this all goes back to, how many of them are open for regulations, how many of them are already regulated in these markets. This is Asia, right? Asian market. And that's where Ripple, the company, actually gets a little bit more advantage than a lot of other companies. So they are using for tokenized digital deposits. They are looking for bonds. Now, bond market being highlighted here is actually a huge deal. It's not actually a small step, because as you go through, you are going to understand this. DBS, it actually shows you like digital assets update here. They're talking about tokenization of carbon credits, CBDCs, because when CBDCs are going to come, this may sound like conspiracy, but this is here from a year, right? This article has been published in 2021, and they are working on this on the back end. So what are they talking about with respect to settlement finality, liquidity, integrity? CBDCs are advanced, so they actually understand this. But for this CBDCs to work, they need to be on the same ledger. So that's why multi-CBDC arrangements could overcome these hurdles. Otherwise, imagine, say, China and US, they have their digital currency, and you really don't want to share your digital ID across the borders for just a remittance, right? You don't actually want to do that. So there would be something in between where it's like the IMF chief recently talked about, right? You're on an interoperable network where every CBDCs can interact with, right? Fine. Now we actually go through this, and then you are reaching the end where you're like, okay, they're talking about climate change and digital assets, and they're talking about tokenizing kind of even this stuff. Now, I don't understand the idea, but I kind of get the point where we are leading this to, right? Fine. And as you continue, one of the important stuff I'm looking at here is the bond market, digital bond market. Because that's not actually a small stuff. These are being sold in millions and hundreds of millions, or even way higher than that, right? So when people talk about these, okay, you need to understand, okay, big corporations are going to do this, and it's like, interoperability between traditional and digital bonds. So it's like, the back end, post trade, all those stuff, it's all coming back in. And then they're talking about the DBS. Recently launched a fixed income execution, and they talk about a lot of different stuff, and you come down and like, okay, they are all working on this one stuff, right? Then you go to the HSBC. They're talking about the market node completing digital bond issuance with Singtel. Now, if you never noticed about Singtel, you go look at what has happened with Ripple going into Tranglo, where Tranglo is highly connected with Singtel and UAE Citisalat. So it's like, you have interoperability there. Like the value of the network increases as the number of nodes increases. But this is exponential value. Now, yeah, the price doesn't actually reflect that in XRP right now. But if you look at this, clearly you're understanding this in an easy way. Networks are here, fine, but the new nodes which are being formed inside the networks, it's from different regions, it's from different markets, it's in different industries. So now you have the interoperability to go through almost all the areas, different areas of the financial world. So that's how you value, you think about the value, right? So now, financial giant SBI issues Japan's first digital corporate bonds. Now, again, we are talking about big stuffs happening, right? The corporate bonds and how these are going to play out. So when these guys are actually doing this, now you all know about this exchange, right? Now they have been kind of positive towards XRP when people were kind of trying to derail that with negative sentiment. These guys were positive. They were still using it. They were going on. Then, they are actually going in, looking at different systems, and they are coming out. Now, they actually understand that this does actually work. So that's why they are actually into this. The digital bond market is not small. It's actually a big stuff. So when these are happening, they actually use different market. Now, you look at the Forex market. Here, it's another startup from London, which is Cobalt, actually trying to give you that narrative. Now we go look at the Ripple's Cobalt. You're like, okay, there is something. There's things actually being executed behind the screen, because this one is not actually small. This is actually happening in huge amounts, right? When we look at this, globally, foreign exchange represents the largest financial market in the world with an estimated stuff like 3 trillion a day. But right now this is 2018 article, right? Right now, I think it's about $5 trillion a day. And when that is being moved into these kind of technology, the volume coming in and going through becomes big. Now, why I'm saying this is actually in Singapore. Now, once one of these financial hub actually start taking that on, others will follow. So it's like the Australia, it's like the US. All of them will actually follow this because they need to be competitive. Otherwise, the Asian market is going to explode using this technology, and they're going to attract more capital. And countries are, a little bit sensitive towards that. They will actually try to get it back, because right now what they're trying to do is suck the money out of the market. And especially, I was actually, looking at Indian market precisely, and just looking at the news, which I was really surprised with. I'm like, okay, they are not looking to just take out a little bit of money out from the market. They are trying to look to take a big chunk out, right? This news here, I was like, wow. So that's like 87,000 crore out of the banking system. Scratching my head. So why did they even put this into the market in the first place if they want to take it out like this, going aggressive? Because going aggressive, taking this much amount of the banking system out means layoffs, homelessness, bankruptcies, suicides. That's a lot of bad stuffs coming in next 1 or 2 years. And this kind of helps the rich get richer, right? The inflation goes on, you're pushing the money, normal guy can't afford it, the market drops, and then they are kind of pushed to drop the rates. And at that point, the normal guy is already dead. And the big guy comes and takes the free credit at that point, or reducing credit. In inflation rate, it's actually trying to lower, but the market is down with the interest rates going lower, so it's easy for you to get in. The big guys actually get in and buy a big lot, whether it's real estate, stocks. It's kind of the rich is getting richer, and these governments, they are preparing just for them, not for the common man. And that's why crypto comes into play, right? Most of them are happy to be in crypto, to invest for the long run, because they understand the technology is here to stand, and the market is going to give you a ton of opportunities, because the market right now is showing that. When the market is showing you that it is bouncing from its long-term support, and that happens to be a falling wedge, which is a bullish pattern, and the price is bouncing from a long-term support, you zoom in, you actually can see like the price has come down to that particular point a lot of time. And this time we kind of closed above that level. That's actually a positive news. Now we are bouncing, so you need to actually literally break through the moving average. 1, 2, you need to break through this trend line support. There's a descending trend line support, and you need to break through that. And as soon as you break through that, you have another horizontal resistance. So you do have a lot of resistance, which means a lot of orders would be set for taking profits and to come as shorters. So if the volume comes in, then these guys are going to be kicked out of the market. You literally don't want to be that guy who's going leveraged, and then the market decides to kick you out and you lose your money. Don't do that. Try to understand the market, look at the market and learn from the market, so that you can execute that and take profits on time. And that's why we actually go through these patterns and deliver you on time, so you know now what's happening in the market and what's your target and what you should actually do right now. Right? So if you want these kind of updates, you can look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. So guys, if you like this video and you received value, please do hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done that already. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.